What is up, family? Welcome back to the channel, man. Now, I do apologize if the energy levels are low on this video. I've been sick the past couple of days, and so that's why this video is going to be coming out a little late too, a couple of days late, but I thought better late than never. So as you guys saw by the thumbnail, man, we're going to be talking about how I made 80% in a day. But before we talk about how I made 80% in a day, we need to talk about the percent game. So let's get right into that. But before we do that, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell, baby, so you guys are the first to be notified about all the videos. Now, talking about the percent game, guys, what you need to understand is that everything when it comes to making percent depends on how much percent you're willing to risk, right? So for example, say you have a $100,000 account and you risk 10% of that account. So now you're risking $10,000 because 10% of 100,000 is 10,000. So now say you hit a 1 to 4. You just made $40,000, right? Because it's 10,000 times 4. A 1 to 4, you were risking 10,000 going to make, which is your reward, 40,000. Which, since you're risking 10%, you made 40%. So that's why I really hate these kind of videos and these kind of thumbnails that talk about, yo, I just made 100% in a day, or I just made like 150% in a day, because it's just really dumb. It depends on how much you're risking and how much your account size is, honestly. For example, in my case, as you guys see on my channel, we're doing the $400 to 10 grand. I made 80% in a day, which was around 400 and something dollars. And you're probably like, whoa, how is 80% only 400 and something dollars? It's because I was risking 10% on every position and I hit a 1 to 8 or 2 1 to 4s, which will go into the breakdown as soon as I'm done explaining this to you guys. So hopefully that makes some sense, because that's all it ultimately is, guys. It just depends on how much you're risking. If you risk 20% of your account and you hit a 1 to 3, you just made 60% because you risked 20% and you're making 3 times what you're risking. So 20, 40, 60. You just made 60% in one trade. And you're probably like, whoa. But no, it just all depends on how much you're willing to risk and then looking at how much you're making, right? And so, like I said, that's why I hate these thumbnails or, these kind of videos where people are like, bro, I just made 100% today. But it was like, yeah, but like, how much did you risk? And obviously, when you get into the bigger numbers, like with 10 grand, which is only 10% of your account, and you have like a couple $100,000 sitting in your broker, like, bro, you're making at the end of the day like $40,000, $50,000, and that could probably be like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% of your account, but you're still making a significant amount of money. And I'm not trying to hate, but what I'm trying to tell you guys is make sure you understand the percent game and don't always make your head go crazy thinking, wow, like you just made 100%. Like 100% risking $1, bro. Like you could be making $1, or you could be making 100 grand, $1 million. So it all depends on the percents. So just make sure you guys kind of have that down packed and understanding how that works. So let's get into the breakdown. It was a Euro USD sell that I hit a 1 to 4, and then an NZD USD sell that I hit about a 1 to 5. And I was gonna let these run, but I'll get into why I didn't, and kind of a couple other things in the breakdown as soon as we get into it right now. All right, guys, so getting straight into the breakdown, as you can see, what I have lined up here in this blue line is kind of the structure that it's been creating on the Euro USD pair, right? And obviously you can see that over here too with the purple line. But since I took a short, let's dive straight into why I entered the short and why I ended up closing early and what my take profits were and all those kind of things. So as you guys can see on the higher time frames, if we go to the daily and the weekly, you guys can really see that we're on a downtrend, and I'll go ahead and line that up actually right now. You guys can tell, like, basic structure outline is really important for you guys to understand, because it's ultimately the direction the market is moving in. And we'll change the color of this to like purple so that we can see it better. And then going into the daily, actually we have a purple already, so let's do a pink, let's do another color, let's do like green or something, orange. So as you can tell, guys, we're on an overall bear market. So my main focus is going to be to take the market lower because my risk to rewards are going to be greater that way if I can find a good entry with a decent stop loss and ultimately let the trade run to the lows, as we are seeing on the weekly time frame. And then this is when I actually do the top-down analysis, where I do the same exact process on every time frame. So that's very important for you guys to understand, and I've said it in almost every breakdown that I go ahead and post to the channel. So as we move down into lower time frames, I'll actually delete this, or no, we'll actually get into why I have this outlined on the 4 hour. So guys, as you can see, if you want to take a couple positions to the upside to trade into areas of supply where then you would take market to the lows, you can do that too, and that's why I have this outlined on the 4 hour. But then as you can see, as the position actually broke structure to the downside, we had this shift. And if you guys watched the second part of flipping $400 to 10,000, you can actually see that I ended up taking a short in here somewhere, guys, that we ended up getting stopped out on in a loss. And that's because we broke structure, everything was looking nice to fall to the downside, but sometimes market still wants to push a little higher into these areas to take out some potential stop losses or retest, and then eventually move further down to the downside. So that's what we did, and then I ended up catching the sell as we were breaking down. And that's when we get into the actual entry, where, as you guys can see, we had the blue line structure outlined, and then we went into the hourly, into the 30-minute, and let's actually dive into the 30-minute. And what do we see? Exactly what I just said. We have outlined structure on the weekly, on the daily, and now we can do this on the 30-minute, as we did as well on the hourly. And what do we see here, guys? We see simple structure being followed again and again and again and then again, right? And it's so important because what you guys want to do is, if you only do this on a lower time frame, you can get caught up too much in the lower time frames without looking at the overall time frame and realizing that, oh, wait, market's on an overall downtrend and I'm looking to take this long into higher highs on the daily or the weekly, when in reality that doesn't make sense, because on the weekly, on the daily, we're on a bear market. So that's why it's really important for you guys to understand as well. Don't get too caught up in the lower time frame structures if you're looking for longer positions. If you're just looking for some scalps or some 20, 30, 40 pip moves, you can definitely do that, and I do that as well sometimes. But if I'm looking for them higher risk to reward, better entry, or trades that I just kind of let run, then this is what I do, so that I can just, have a better return on the trade and not have to worry about, oh, I'm in and out, as opposed to like, okay, I'm in, crashing to the downside, I'm going to set my alerts, set my break even, and then adjust that as it continues to break down, and those kind of things. So as you guys can see, we ended up entering here on these lower lows, on the series of lower lows, and then here's the reason why I actually exited the trade. Here's the blue line, and my overall TP was down here, as I said it in the previous video as well, and in the 400 to 10,000 part 2 video. You guys can go check it out if you think I'm lying. The reason I exited over here, guys, was because it was Friday and we had market close. And the thing is, with market close and then opening up on a new week, we could have seen market open up and then potentially come back up and retest in these areas of entry. And that's something I don't like to do, is see my profits go back to zero and leaving a bunch of money on the table. So I figured, let's just take the money off of the table, let's close the trade, let's have a good week for the $400 to $10,000 account flip. And then another reason, and I always say this to myself, is there's always more opportunities to get back into the market. And that's a very important thing that you guys need to understand as well. There's always going to be more opportunities to get back into the market. If it's with this trade, if it's another trade, there's no shortage of opportunities. So those are the main reasons I ended up closing. And then in addition, as I said, we're doing the account flip. So it was like, okay, let's just secure this money so that we can get further and further into the 4-figure range and then exponentially grow the account to 10K. So if you guys aren't updated with the series, definitely stay tuned and subscribe to the channel to see us flip 400 to 10,000, baby. Now, similarly, getting into the NZD USD trade, guys. As you guys can see, this trade ended up playing out perfectly. And this is on the 30-minute. Let's kind of go into the daily. So why was I initially looking for shorts? Guys, again, what did we see? Market is on a downtrend. So why would we look for longs when we are in a bear market? And that's kind of what I did. Now, some of you guys might see this and think, oh, wow, we actually broke this high. Let's look for longs. And that could be true. But the reason I ended up looking for shorts is because what did we see when market actually came back into this area where it broke the high? We saw it break down slowly and kind of shift structure. And what do I like to do when we see market shift structure? I like to adapt and trade, baby. Now, you guys are probably seeing this like, damn, this guy only trades structure. Like, no, I've said this before. There's a lot more that goes into it. It's just kind of hard to explain everything in the short amount of time we have in these videos. So I will be mentoring at one point. I don't know when, guys. It'll come, but for now, I'm definitely continuing to grow myself. And that's why I kind of just upload these short breakdowns for you guys so you guys can kind of get an idea of how I trade. And what did we see when we actually went into the 8-hour? We saw the breakdown, right? And so we saw boom, boom, boom. It's kind of a little messy. I'll actually delete this one and then I'll redo it on the 8-hour for you guys to see. So we had this, and then boom, boom, and then boom. Perfectly, we broke all of this. We had a lower low, lower high, and then as you can see, lower low, lower high, and boom. Completely tanked to the downside. And then going into my entry, guys, obviously I do this on every time frame, so I kind of know where I can have a perfect entry, as we try to do that every single time. And what did we see? It was right over here, guys, on the 15-minute. As you can see, we came back in, tested these areas over here, just like this, and boom, I believe I entered probably on the 5-minute. Let's go back. Yeah, I actually entered on the 5-minute in the breaks of structure, as I will go ahead and outline this again. As you can see, boom, 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 boom. And then I entered on one of these. I don't remember exactly. And then what do we see? We just see market continue to break to the downside. And then I did go to break even. And this trade, we actually exited at this blue line as well, which was a 1 of 5. And for the same reasons, guys. And news came out on this day, as well as we were doing the account flip. And so I'm just trying to secure the monies so we can grow the account. But I've said this before. The overall TPs were down there. I'm not making these up as we're recording this video. Like, these are TPs because of my predictions with the higher time frames. Just so you guys are aware that, don't think I'm lying to you. I try to be as transparent as possible. Now, hopefully you can't hear my loud-ass computer because it is sounding like a jet right now, but it's cool. Hopefully you enjoyed that breakdown. Let's actually close the computer. I want to remind you guys, there's a lot more that goes into the trading, but for the most part, if you can understand market structure, supply and demand, and just a couple other things, you guys will understand how simple the market actually is and how much more it is about yourself and your psychology of being eager and all these things, and you actually being the cause of a lot of the losses you're taking. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that breakdown. Look out for the next video coming out in a couple of days. And like I said, I'm a little sick, so I'm kind of tired, but I'm trying to do my best to push out this video for you guys. So with that being said, I'd appreciate if you guys liked the video, comment any suggestions, and I'll see you guys in the next one, baby. Shoo!